Right now, the end may be near for the longest government shutdown in history after 8 Democrats, including our next guest, voted with Republicans to break the filibuster in a key first step.
I think this agreement gives us an opportunity to continue to do that work. We're going to have a vote, and I believe there are a number of Republicans who are going to join us in trying to address health care costs for Americans.
Standing up to Donald Trump didn't work. It actually gave him more power. And then secondly, and I've been a big supporter of the ACA, the idea of forcing the Republicans to the table to negotiate on that issue by virtue of a shutdown didn't work. It's now the longest shutdown in American history.
Oh, I think this whole thing stinks. And I think most members of the House caucus on the Democratic side are absolutely outraged. We are fools if we believe that they are going to come back and give us a vote that has a chance of passing if we capitulate right now. We got to hold the line.
This idea of left or right or more progressive on ACA subsidies, almost 80% of Americans want the subsidies to continue. That's not left or right. That's right and wrong. So almost 60% of Republicans want the ACA subsidies to continue.
Leader Thune has agreed that we will have a bill that we will write that will give us an opportunity to work on those health care costs. And we believe there are a lot of Republicans, including a lot of Trump supporters, who want to see us do something about this because their costs are going up. We are going to be able to continue to fight about health care because we're going to have a vote in December.
Why did you decide to vote with Republicans to open the government?
Well, Joe, you have to go back to what the strategy was at the beginning of the shutdown. There were 2 goals, both of which I support. One was standing up to Donald Trump. The other was getting some resolution on the ACA premium tax credit issue. The problem was the shutdown wasn't accomplishing either goals, and there was there was zero likelihood that it was going to.
The shutdown deal skips their crown jewel, the whole reason they were fighting in the first place, to extend the Obamacare subsidies. Instead, they got a promise to hold a vote on it in December. Let me be clear about this. It's not a vote right now. There's no guarantee it's going to pass, no guarantee the House would ever even take it up.
I mean, some people would think that this is a capitulation if you only agree to a standalone vote.
We need to understand how the Senate works. We have brought this issue as a major national issue from zero to a major factor, I think, in the last election. And I think we're going to continue to make it an issue.
Was the shutdown worth it?
To federal employees who are not going to be traumatized by RIFs going forward? Yeah. You know, I've got some folks who didn't like the vote, but I'm going to have a whole lot of federal employees who are going back to work and they're getting their paychecks and they can live through the holidays without worrying that they're going to get a bad email at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning telling them they're laid off. They have been living under a cloud of anxiety since January 20, and we've lifted that cloud to some degree.
My Democratic colleagues and I have been ready to work on this issue, on extending these tax cuts for months. With the government reopening shortly, Senate Republicans now finally have to come to the table. Or, make no mistake, Americans will remember who stood in the way.
Bernie Sanders and other progressive leaders have said that that you and other moderates that have voted to reopen the government are going to cause great damage to the Democratic Party, and many will see it as a betrayal. What do you say to Bernie Sanders?
Well, I think what I'm saying is, what was your strategy, man? What was your end game? If we're going to extend the shutdown another week, another month, through Christmas, Thanksgiving, is that going to get us anywhere? The point is, there never was an end game if the initial strategy didn't work. And now we have one. We're going to have, as I say, a guaranteed vote on the ACA. And it may not succeed. I grant that. But a reasonable chance, 10, 20%, 30%, is a lot better than 0%, which is where we were as of yesterday morning.
What is it that is making the Senate Democrats, in your understanding of these negotiations right now, want to believe that this is something that will actually happen with the Trump administration or Mike Johnson a year from now?
Honestly, I can't begin to imagine. I really can't.
Democratic base is furious. There are folks out there that are calling for Chuck Schumer's head for not holding out on this.
For months and months, Democrats have been fighting to get the Senate to address the health care crisis. this bill does nothing to ensure that that crisis is addressed, I am voting no, and I will keep fighting.
I wonder if you can talk to me about what Leader Schumer's message was to you and your colleagues when you came to him with this original plan, and if he blessed the deal that you ultimately made, given the fact that he did vote against it.
Well, we kept Senator Schumer informed throughout bipartisan discussions that have really gone on since the beginning of the shutdown.
Chuck Schumer and the leadership of the Senate are dealing with an incredibly complex situation where, it's hard to find a way out.
Some Democrats in your own caucus are suggesting Schumer is ineffective as Senate Democratic leader and should be replaced. You, of course, are critical of this deal. Do you view him as effective, and should he keep the job?
Yes and yes.
Chuck Schumer should have negotiated a better deal. He should have been in the public more. He's not a bad guy, any stretch. He's just not the right person at the right time.
Bernie Sanders comes out and says it was a very bad night. I told you what Schumer said. And then Ro Khanna over in the House says Senator Schumer is no longer effective and should be replaced. If you can't lead the right to stop health care and premiums from skyrocketing for Americans, what will you fight for?
The head of the House Progressive Caucus called this a betrayal. Accepting nothing but a pinky promise from Republicans isn't a compromise. It's capitulation.
Think about this. Think about the No Kings rallies, the massive rallies nationwide. Think about 40 days of a government shutdown. Think about last Tuesday's election results. All for what? The Democrats accepted an offer that was always on the table. There is about to be a reckoning in this party when the House comes back to the Hill.
We need a bipartisan bill that we know is going to get enacted to provide the relief that Americans need. And I think there's a commitment on the part of many of our colleagues to do that.
But there's no guarantee this will become law.
There was never a guarantee that it would become law.
I agree with Senator Angus. It's just the beginning. This is the beginning to show and fight for Americans across the country. I expect Republicans to be at the table in the next few weeks. I expect the White House to be at the table. And if they do choose not to come to the table, they can own the disastrous premium increases that will continue to rise.
There's already calls now from Democrats in the House. They're saying Leader Schumer should step aside. He should be replaced. The 8 of you today voting with Republicans to advance this plan to reopen the government, does that just further the divides within the Democratic Party right now?
No. When I talk to my constituents in New Hampshire, you know what they say to me? They say, why can't you all just work together to address the problems that are facing this country?
But even Donald Trump admitted that the government shutdown is what caused Democrats to win the election in historic fashion last week.
Well, I think it's a question of, at some point, there's diminishing returns. And as I say, the strategy was, let's bring the Republicans to the table. It didn't happen. It wasn't going to happen.
If it needs 60 votes, Senator, what are the chances that this subsidy lives through the new year then? If you have to get 60 votes, the chances are what that this survives the new year?
Well, I think finally, because of the shutdown fight, we've had a number of Republicans who have figured out that this is an issue for them.
We cannot roll over for something other than a promise to extend these ACA subsidies so that we can have some stability. That's what Americans are feeling right now, no stability. And I just don't see how the Democratic caucus gets behind anything. As you said, it is a sort of a concept of a promise. It's a wink. It's a nod. Yeah, we'll get to a vote.
If something passes the Senate, it would only pass on a bipartisan basis. Yeah. Would you bring it up?
Well, the bill that's going to pass
to extend the subsidies, that later vote.
I can't commit to anything that hasn't even passed through the Senate yet. I mean, I've never done that. I'm very consistent. I've been Speaker for over 2 years, and one of the reasons I've held the gavel is because I don't go out and predetermine outcomes. It's a member-driven institution, as it should be, and I'm really insistent about that. We got to get back to regular order, and that's what we're doing here.
The vote hasn't closed, but it looks like 8 Democrats have joined Republicans to vote for a temporary reopening of the government for about 2 months, but a bill with no protections to stop the coming healthcare disaster in this country caused by Donald Trump's premium increases, nor any provisions to meaningfully stop Trump's corruption and his illegality. You can see how tired I am. I've been here all weekend. I've been working throughout the past few weeks to try to prevent this moment. After the elections on Tuesday, it just became absolutely clear that the American people do not want Democrats to be bullied into submission. They want Democrats to fight for their health care. They want Democrats to fight Trump's illegality. Bullies gain power when righteous people yield in the face of their wrongdoing. I didn't want this shutdown. I want it to end, but not at any cost. And of course, I wish that there was a path to saving this democracy and saving people's health care that didn't involve pain. This shutdown hurt. It did. But unfortunately, I don't think there is a way to save this country, to save our democracy, without there being some difficult, hard moments along the way. The people came out on Tuesday in huge numbers, and yes, it was a referendum on Trump, but it was also a referendum on us. And I think there's going to be a lot of very angry people out there in this country. I know there will be a lot of angry people out there in this country, having watched just a handful of Democrats join with Republicans. And we still have fights ahead where we've got to be able to unite as Democrats. This won't be the only consequential moment between now and next November. But there's no way to defend this. And you are right to be angry about it. I'm angry about it. And I'm just going to get up tomorrow and go to work to try to convince all of my colleagues that this is a unique moment and the necessity to stand and fight, even when it's hard, even when it involves pain, is necessary, more necessary today than at any point during any of our political careers.